There was an interesting LBC cross-question exchange the other day about grooming gangs, about Islam, and it moved from Islam to Andrew Tate through the manosphere, and the wider point that misogyny is often rooted in religious belief systems. I think it's not. I think it's rooted in cultural and power phenomena. And on Ian Dale's show, they began with a direct question about police failure to investigate Muslim grooming gangs. And the guests correctly acknowledged that fear is being called racist, and, uh, and then it's about police inaction, a serious institutional failing. But within seconds, James Bloodworth, I think it was, pivoted from specific communities to a general lament about misogyny in all cultures, invoking Andrew Tate and the manosphere. And this rhetorical move is what Andrew Gold calls equivocation. It dilutes a precise problem into a universal one, avoiding uncomfortable specificity. And he's right about that shift. It's a reflexive liberal instinct to deflect from naming the cultural or the religious factors when those factors become politically sensitive. Andrew Gold, who is a wonderful man. I've done at least one interview with him, I think, and he's such a pleasant person. And also his piece on exorcism, I thought was one of the most compelling documentaries that I've seen in a long time. Andrew claims that all of this is a deliberate dodge. I think it's less conspiratorial and more defensive. Western liberal commentators often worry about racism accusations if they name Islam in connection to misogynistic norms, and overgeneralizing millions of peaceful Muslims when the issue actually is specific subcultures. But there is real value in Bloodworth's point. Misogyny is not unique to any one religion. It exists in traditional interpretations of Islam with the female obedience expectations. It exists, as Andrew says, in Hasidic Judaism with the gender separation, with the patriarchal marriage contracts. It exists in Catholicism and Orthodoxy with the male-only priesthood. It exists in evangelical Christianity with the complementarian roles. It exists in Hinduism, in dowry violence, in widow shunning in some regions. So what exactly anchors misogyny? And here is where where I agree. Misogyny is not anchored in religious doctrine as such, though doctrines can be used to justify it. It's anchored in culture, in power structures, and social control. Religion can be a vessel, a justification, but it's not the cause. And if you removed Islam from certain Pakistani communities or Catholicism from certain Latin American communities, the patriarchal attitudes would still persist in secular forms. The religion sacralizes what is ultimately social. And Gold points out correctly that Tate's conversion to Islam within this context is a commercial strategy, but it's lazy to suggest that Islam is uniquely hospitable to misogyny. Tate's brand also thrives among white British teenagers, Eastern European men, Christian conservatives in the US, secular atheists who want a red pill, anti-feminist worldview. Tate doesn't represent Islam. He's a salesman for male dominance fantasies, and he uses Islamic aesthetics like hijab talk when it suits his market. Where Gold is absolutely right is this: police failed to protect girls in grooming gang cases precisely because of cultural sensitivities about racism. And that failure is real, documented, and shameful. But he misses the point. This fear arose because of Britain's legitimate multicultural politics and effort to avoid stigmatizing entire communities. And the show on LBC demonstrates how quickly naming Islam leads to accusations of bigotry, to defensive. But what about the Catholic Church responses? And this is not just fear, it's bad rhetoric. You say, yes, there's a subculture among British Pakistanis where forced marriage, cousin marriage, and male sexual entitlement are serious issues. It needs naming and policing. Equally, misogyny exists in every culture. Naming one problem doesn't excuse the rest, but refusing to name it enables it. Misogyny is not inherent to Islam, to Hasidic Judaism, to the Haredi, to Catholicism, or to any religion. It's a cultural manifestation of power, control, and exclusion. But those cultures often weaponize religion to reinforce it. And policing must recognise cultural patterns honestly without collective blame. And commentary must avoid rhetorical equivocation while maintaining universal moral standards. And we need the courage to name patterns in specific communities while insisting that misogyny is a universal human failing demanding universal legal equality. And without that, we have to be really careful in this debate to make sure the horse is before the cart and not the other way round.